Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, back with some more history of Russia. This is part 3, and I am recording this before you guys even see part 2. So if you guys are trying to give me tips and whatnot for this part, I apologize. Yeah, because there was a chance that I might not have been able to record it. I would have missed a day without a video. And it was bugging me in my head, and I was going to go to bed. And I said, no, I'm going to make these videos just in case, because I have plans maybe. So I'm doing this ahead of time to make sure these videos get out. And I even switched my shirt and everything just because, to act like it's a new day when this is actually 3 or 4 hours later from when you guys see part 2. Yeah. So it's late tonight, and making sure I'm waked up, ready to watch this, show, video, epic history. There you go, Russia. That's it. I'm sorry. It's late. I'm tired, and kind of a little out of it. So I'm sorry about this, but yes, I can't wait. Let's watch this video. I believe it's Empress. No, it's is it Catherine the Great? Because I remember we left off on part 2, and I wasn't sure. I was like, uh-oh, this maybe the downfall, because her husband was the Tsar, and then he passed away, and wife took over, right? And I wasn't sure how that was going to end up. But apparently, if it's Catherine the Great, watch me be totally wrong here, and I apologize. Apparently, she, brings them into the promised land, or has great things come. That's what it's kind of like how it left off. There's just great things to come, and I sure hope they're not messing with me. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it, guys. Dun, dun, dun. Oversimplified. That's the one. Remember last time I couldn't figure out what video was, for Russian history. I remember watching some Russian history on Oversimplified. So I feel that's why a few of these names kind of ring a bell, kind of thing, because of that. There you go. Oversimplified. They're a good channel. Or we're doing epic history, which is extremely awesome. Bam. And of course, I almost forgot. Please hit the like and subscribe, guys. Please and thank you. And on with the show.
In the early 1700s, Peter the Great's reforms put Russia on the path to becoming a great European power. But it was his grandson's German wife, Catherine, who deposed her husband to become Empress of Russia, who
I guess I didn't realize how many greats there were. I feel like every other leader is the great, I guess well deserved. I mean, if you become leader and you make your land prosper and you expand your lands, you definitely deserve it, because there's so many that end up just falling apart, and another country is just it kind of gets implodes on itself, or they just don't do much for it. They're just lazy. I don't know. Anyways, let's get back to this.
who deposed her husband to become Empress of Russia, who oversaw the completion of that transformation. Like Peter, she too would be remembered as the Great. Catherine was a student and admirer of the French Enlightenment, and even corresponded with the French philosopher Voltaire. She reigned as an enlightened autocrat. Her power was unchecked, but she pursued ideals of reason, tolerance, and progress. Catherine became a great...
See, like that, reason, tolerance, and progress. I mean, obviously that's amazing, and that's why probably Russia flourishes. Is what happens always the opposite. Then obviously the country is going to implode on itself because she's unchecked on everything she does. So it's just amazing how just like personal traits can, of your leader could basically be a huge, that's just a huge difference of how your country can turn out. So, anyways.
Of reason, tolerance, and progress. Catherine became a great patron of the arts and learning. Schools and colleges were built. The Bolshoi Theatre was founded, as well as the Imperial Academy of Fine Arts. While her own magnificent collection of artwork now forms the basis of the world-famous Hermitage Museum.
Cool.
Catherine encouraged Europeans to move to Russia to share their expertise, and helped German migrants to settle in the Volga region, where they became known as Volga Germans. Their communities survived nearly 200 years, until on Stalin's orders, they were deported east at the start of World War II. Catherine's reign also saw enormous territorial expansion. In the south, Russia defeated the Ottoman Empire, winning new lands and the fortresses of Azov and Kerch. But then Catherine faced a major peasant revolt, led by the renegade Cossack Yemelyan Pugachev. The rebels took many fortresses and towns and stormed the city of Kazan before they were finally defeated by the Russian army.
Wow.
Catherine then forcibly incorporated the Zaporozhian Cossacks into the Russian Empire and annexed the Crimean Khanate, a thorn in Russia's side for 300 years. Russia's new lands in the south were named Novorussia, New Russia. Sparsely populated, they were settled by Russian colonists under the supervision of Prince Potemkin, Catherine's advisor and lover.
Oh.
The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, exhausted by war and at the mercy of its neighbors, was carved up in a series of partitions, with Russia taking the lion's share. Poland did not re-emerge as an independent nation until 1918. Russia inherited a large Jewish population from Poland, who Catherine decreed could live only in the so-called Pale of Settlement, and were excluded from most cities.
Wow.
In France, the French Revolution led to the execution of King Louis XVI. Catherine was horrified, and in the last years of her reign, completely turned her back on the liberal idealism of her youth.
Oh, wow.
3 years later, Catherine died, ending one of the most glorious reigns in Russian history. She was succeeded by her son, Paul, a man obsessed by military discipline and detail, and opposed to all his mother's works.
Really?
Russia joined the coalition of European powers, fighting revolutionary France.
Yep, because, watching the Napoleonic Wars, yep. It's kind of amazing how, I guess it's not that amazing, but, the kids kind of usually go off and do their own thing. Like, they never, follow in, their parents' footsteps. And never, you never see it. Well, for me, it doesn't seem like you see it. It's like they all want to make their own stamp on the world. Like, they all want to do their own thing, And I guess, this might come from, I don't know what that might come from, but anyway, let's get on with it. I'm not a therapist.
Of European powers, fighting revolutionary France. Marshal Suvorov, one of Russia's greatest military commanders, won a series of victories against the French in northern Italy. But the wider war was a failure. Meanwhile, Paul's reforms had alienated Russia's army and nobility, and he was murdered in a palace coup.
Damn.
He was succeeded by his 23-year-old son Alexander, who shared his grandmother Catherine's vision for a more modern Russian state.
Skipped a generation.
His advisor, the brilliant Count Mikhail Speransky, reformed administration and finance. Yet the emperor refused to back his plans for a liberal constitution. Ultimately, it was war with France that would dominate Alexander's reign.
Napoleonic Wars!
France had a new emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte, who inflicted a series of defeats on Russia and her allies at Austerlitz, Eylau, and Friedland. But at Tilsit in 1807, the two young emperors met and made an alliance. Russia attacked Sweden, annexing Finland, which became an autonomous Grand Duchy within the Russian Empire. But then, in 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia.
I wonder how this turns out. Can you guys guess? This is really cool because, like, I just did this series, like a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, and so I know exactly how this is going to turn out. Exactly. So this is interesting how it just, all of these videos kind of just, mesh together. Oh, man. I bet you guys it does not turn. I bet you it does not turn out good for Napoleon. It's not going to, I bet you. How much you want to bet?
1812, Napoleon invaded Russia.
They...
At Borodino, French and Russian armies clashed in a gigantic battle, one of the bloodiest of the age. Napoleon emerged victorious, but the Russian army escaped intact. Napoleon occupied Moscow, which was destroyed by fire. And when Alexander refused to negotiate, the French army was forced to make a long retreat through the Russian winter and was annihilated.
Yep.
Napoleon had been dealt a mortal blow, and Russia, alongside Prussia, Austria, and Britain, then led the fight back, which ended in the capture of Paris and Napoleon's abdication. At the Congress of Vienna, as part of the spoils of war, Alexander became King of Poland. Then, with Austria and Prussia, he formed the Holy Alliance, with the aim of preventing further revolutions in Europe. Meanwhile, in the Balkans and Caucasus, Russia had been waging intermittent wars against the Ottoman Empire, Persia, and local tribes. The frontier had been pushed south to incorporate Bessarabia, Circassia, Chechnya, and much of modern Georgia, Dagestan, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. But the peoples of the Caucasus bitterly resisted Russian rule. Russia's attempt to impose its authority on the region led to the Caucasian War, a brutal conflict fought amongst the mountains and forests that would drag on for nearly 50 years.
Damn, that's a long time.
Alexander was succeeded by his brother Nicholas, a conservative and reactionary. But parts of Russian society had now developed an appetite for European-style liberalism, including certain army officers who'd seen other ways of doing things during the Napoleonic Wars. They saw Nicholas as an obstacle, and the new emperor's first challenge would be military revolt.
Wow.
Epic History TV relies on the support of its viewers.
Oh man, so we saw like Russia expanded and they want to become this new, they want to, I guess, kind of do things, well, at least, the generals and stuff want to do things kind of like the European way. And now there's going to be a revolt. So it seems like we're kind of like, oh, right, the explosion, Catherine the Great, everything's going great. And now it kind of seems like, things are going to be like Civil War kind of thing. Like the expansion is going to stop maybe right here, at least for this guy. And looks like next episode, probably things, not so great things happening next episode, I'm assuming. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, please hit that like and subscribe, guys. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next video, part 4. Just marching along here, and yeah, it's kind of neat how they had the Napoleon thing in there, and they're kind of start, Russia's trying to eat away at going south, so that's really cool. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, having a lot of fun here, and I'll definitely catch you guys in future videos. Peace.